Welcome, seekers of hidden truths. Today, we uncover a realm where dead kings ruled the living. Imagine a vast Andean empire. Living peasants starved while lifeless mummies feasted on pure gold. These preserved corpses owned massive estates. They led fierce armies from the dark grave and caused war. Why did a brilliant society let dead men dictate the fate of millions? The dark truth waits here. Join us to explore this chilling mystery of Inca kings who refused to die. The journey starts now. High in the treacherous Andes Mountains, the great Inca Empire thrived without writing or the wheel. According to Spanish chronicles, their capital city of Cusco was a place of unimaginable wealth. But at the center of this gleaming city, a terrifying tradition ruled their daily life. The supreme emperors, known as Sapa Incas, were never truly buried after their mortal death. Instead, their bodies were carefully preserved to become eternal rulers of the physical world. During the grand festival of the sun, these mummies were brought out into the blinding daylight. They were dressed in the finest woven garments and adorned with heavy, solid gold masks and crowns. Royal attendants placed the ancient corpses on magnificent golden litters for all the people to see. The dead kings were served fresh roasted corn and overflowing cups of fermented chicha beer daily. They sat among the living rulers, casting long shadows across the sacred ceremonial square. High priests leaned close to the golden masks, pretending to hear the whispered commands of the dead. Through these manipulative priests, the silent mummies continued to pass laws and judge the people. It was a brilliant political illusion that kept the royal bloodline in absolute supreme power.
Defy the will of the gods.
Even marriages and brutal military campaigns were supposedly ordered by these mummified kings. The nobles bowed down deeply before the hollow eyes of their ancestors, showing pure devotion. No major decision in the vast empire could ever be made without consulting a dried corpse first. Would you surrender your freedom to the silent commands of a dead ruler just to maintain order? To modern minds, this macabre banquet looks like pure madness, but it was their absolute reality. The Inca firmly believed that keeping the dead kings comfortable would prevent the world from ending. But this endless devotion to the afterlife would soon trigger a catastrophic chain of events. To understand this dark obsession, we must look at the extreme environment of the Andes Mountains. The freezing temperatures and bone-dry winds created a perfect natural refrigerator for the dead. Nature itself taught the indigenous people that flesh could actually endure far beyond mortal life. In their cosmological view, death was never a final end, but simply a transition of state. They worshipped sacred objects and places known as huacas, believing spiritual energy lived inside. Since the emperor was considered the living son of the sun god, his body was the ultimate huaca. His physical remains held the divine energy needed to make the crops grow and the heavy rains fall. Therefore, allowing a royal body to rot away would mean the total destruction of the world. The mummies were often stored in dark, freezing caves, guarded by loyal servants day and night. Some modern scholars argue this practice was a profound way to conquer the natural fear of death. By keeping their ancestors visible and involved, the trauma of permanent loss was completely erased. However, the spiritual comfort came with a devastating and hidden cost for the common working class. Peasant farmers labored endlessly on the steep agricultural terraces under the scorching high sun. They broke their backs, moving heavy stones and harvesting crops from the frozen highland soil. Yet, a massive portion of their hard-earned harvest was immediately sent to feed the dead kings. The mummies needed constant offerings of food, fine clothes, and precious metals to remain satisfied. While the silent rulers sat comfortably in their dark tombs, the living peasants slowly starved. The harsh climate was not the only enemy, as the religious system itself drained their resources. The empire was literally bleeding itself dry to sustain a beautiful but deadly spiritual illusion. And the most terrifying economic rule of the Inca world was about to push them over the edge. The true horror of the Inca mummy cult was not spiritual, but strictly economic and political. According to the royal law of Panaca, an emperor's wealth did not pass to his living successor. When a king died, his mummy retained absolute ownership of all his palaces, lands, and servants. His royal family lineage managed this vast estate, using the dead king to maintain their own power. This created a bizarre reality where the dead were the wealthiest property owners in the empire. Meanwhile, a newly crowned emperor inherited absolutely nothing but the title and the royal army. To build his own wealth and secure his future mummy estate, the new king had to conquer new lands. This constant need for new territory fueled a massive and rapid military expansion across the coast. But by the early 16th century, the empire had simply run out of profitable lands to conquer. The mighty Huascar took the throne in Cusco, only to find that the dead owned all the fertile soil. Surrounded by the vast estates of his ancestors, the living king was effectively completely broke. Driven by desperation, Huascar proposed a radical idea to bury the mummies and take their lands. This logical but highly offensive plan outraged the powerful Panaca families who guarded the dead. If you were the king, would you dare to destroy your sacred religion to save your failing economy? The wealthy nobles immediately shifted their support to Huascar's half-brother, the fierce Atahualpa. Atahualpa ruled the northern territory of Quito and commanded the most battle-hardened veterans. The dispute over the wealth of dead men quickly escalated into a brutal and bloody civil war. Brother turned against brother, and Inca warriors slaughtered each other across the dark mountain trails. Tens of thousands of men died fighting in the thick dust, their wooden clubs smashing through shields. Villages burned to the ground as the two factions desperately fought to control the fading empire. Atahualpa eventually captured Cusco, but the long war had left the Inca military deeply crippled. They had destroyed their own strength to protect the dead, right as a new nightmare approached them. While the Inca Empire tore itself apart from the inside, strange ships arrived on the western coast. Francisco Pizarro and his small band of Spanish conquistadors marched into the high frozen mountains. They were exhausted and heavily outnumbered, but they wore thick steel armor and carried deadly guns. In the fateful square of Cajamarca, Pizarro trapped the victorious Atahualpa in a bloody ambush. The loud explosions of gunpowder echoed through the valley, terrifying the unprepared native soldiers. Despite having thousands of warriors, the divided and exhausted Inca army collapsed in total panic. The great emperor Atahualpa was captured, his royal garments torn and his divine power shattered. Bound in heavy rusted iron chains, the living sun god watched helplessly as his world burned down. The Spanish invaders were completely horrified by the indigenous practice of worshipping dried corpses. Viewing the mummies as demonic idols, the conquistadors began a ruthless campaign of destruction. They raided the sacred caves, dragging the Golden Kings out of their freezing mountain sanctuaries. The priceless gold masks were melted down into standard coins to fund the vast Spanish Empire overseas, and the sacred mummies themselves were thrown directly into raging fires to destroy the pagan faith. Ancient fabrics and preserved flesh turned into floating ash, erasing centuries of royal history. The very religion that was supposed to protect the Inca people had been their ultimate downfall. By giving all their resources to the dead, they left the living completely defenseless and weak. A magnificent civilization was conquered by merely 168 foreign soldiers. The dead kings who ruled the world from the shadows were finally reduced to dust in the cold wind. Today, only the silent stone walls of Machu Picchu remain to tell the story of their tragic end. The mummies are gone, but the chilling lesson about the dangerous cost of blind faith lives on forever. The vast Inca Empire was destroyed. Their blind devotion to dead kings made them weak to living threats. Was this faith a beautiful tradition or a fatal curse that doomed a nation? Comment down below. If you enjoyed this dark history tale, please hit like, share this video, and subscribe for more secrets.